Actually,
Hi V, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Absolutely, absolutely. Is this a good time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, I'm excited about the call because I love your questions and I uh, I hope you're doing well. Where are you located? In Dallas?
Yes, sir. I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, great. And may I ask you what you do for a living?
Um, it's called food delivery. So I just use like Uber Eats and different companies that do food deliveries, and I do that. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And you like what you do?
And then besides that part-time job, and then currently I just started with a position as a general manager for a logistic company. But recently we off the on call, so yeah.
Okay, good, good. So I'm gonna read your questions and I'm going to respond, and you can comment and you know, let me know if you need me to clarify anything, and we'll take it from there. Cool?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So your first question was, I am currently on a self-discovery phase, and I want your advice on how to find my strength and my weaknesses. So, in my opinion, of course, all this is my opinion about life and business, and you're free to ignore what I say if you don't agree, research some more. But I believe the question you have to ask yourself regarding your strengths and weaknesses is the following. Do you have the self discipline and self control? Because it's all about, if somebody has discipline and self control. And it starts with yourself, first of all. And you have to know, do you have bad habits? Do you have addictions? And if you are not, and you are doing the right things and you have some discipline, how do you measure that you have discipline? The question is, are you happy with yourself, with what you do and your accomplishments? Are you healthy? Do you, like follow the proper diet, exercise? Like you have the self-discipline to also follow up on accumulating wealth and doing the right things. And that's what we're going to discover here today. So number one, finding your strength is in doing an introspection, looking at what you do, and if you're able to stay in control and have discipline. Number two is, how well do you interact with others? Are you is Do you have the skill to interact well? Are you able to put things in a, like if you're put in a position to manage people, do you know how to select the right people, motivate them, and direct their focus and efforts to get a particular job done on time and within budget? And have you done that before? You see that if you're able to do that, that's a huge strength. So first, your personal strength, which is your self-discipline and self-control. The second strength is how you interact with others to get things done through them and with them. And then the third thing is, are you able to acquire the knowledge through education, observation, asking others, and taking action to apply that knowledge in a successful way to bring about the desired results? So it's not just about you and others, but about getting a business endeavor done, a specific business model done in a way that you have good judgment, good skills, and it increases your luck factor. So I look at the process of strength in three levels: making yourself strong, making other people around you better because of you being there and giving them direction, and number three, being able to get the job done, being able to get whatever endeavor you seek out. And hopefully with our conversation today, you find your strength and handle your weaknesses, because everybody has strength and weaknesses. Any comments on my long answer?
So it sounds like in order to find my strength and my weaknesses, I have to basically experience more to find out what it is that I'm good at.
Yes, and you have to not just experience more, but pay attention, as in like self-reflect. Like, am I able to handle this? And you don't have to second guess yourself. You can go by what comes to you, your gut feelings and what you've studied, etc. And little by little, you're going to see that you're able to manage your thoughts and your ability to think positively in a way that empowers you, and the way that you communicate with others in a way that gets them excited about things, and then you're getting things done. If you're able to get things done, that's the strongest asset you could have, is ability to get things done. That's the measure of competence. Like, to clarify further, your second question is, I'm lacking communication skills. How can I be great at it? And we spend about 80% of our days communicating. And it amazes me that very few people ask that incredible question you just asked. How can I improve my communication skills? And you look at communication skills, it should be two levels. Level one is how you communicate with yourself. Like, are you empowering yourself, encouraging yourself? You're able to focus on the positive and what's really possible? Or are you talking down to yourself and self-doubting? You see, so number one thing you have to make an effort on is to communicate with yourself in a positive way, in an empowering way. Number two level two, is how do you communicate with others? There are 4 levels to this. Number one is when you communicate with others, how do you talk or speak to get your viewpoints across without offending anyone? If you're good at that and you're able to speak your mind without offending others, that's a huge skill. Number 2 level is how do you listen? Do you listen well and understand what others are telling you without being defensive about what they're saying, or without thinking of your comebacks or rebuttals to what they're saying? So instead, you just focus totally on what they're saying, their demeanor, and why they're saying certain things. And that is a very powerful skill, the listening ability. And number 3 level is, can you now also not just talk and listen, but can you communicate your thoughts and ideas in writing while being clear, concise, and straightforward, so people can read an email, a text, a paragraph, and really get your thoughts and what you want to accomplish, and they get it? And the 4th level is, can you read and comprehend what others are sending you in writing? And this is actually based, believe it or not, on understanding why they're sending it, the word definitions, so not getting lost with a word that you don't understand the meaning of it, grasping the concept and idea behind what they're sending. And if you're actually reading as a communication skill to study something, are you able to move step by step by step? It's called gradiently. The word in English is gradiently, to actually accumulate on what you learn and add reality to the subject matter. And you could do that by looking at pictures, watching a video, maybe doing a drawing, or going to the location to understand something. So let's say you're reading about how to fly an airplane. If you go and look at the airplane and communicate with it, with its gadgets and all this, you'll learn it better. So I will repeat, how you communicate with yourself in an empowering way is most important, because it affects level 2, which is how you communicate with others, which is how you talk, how you listen, how you write, and how you read and comprehend. And that's not difficult to do, so long as you always think to yourself, how can I be open and respectful? How can I actually really tell them what I think without offending them, and listen to their feedback without getting defensive about it from my part? And one of the best people you can observe doing that is Oprah. Oprah is fascinating about how she speaks her mind in a non-offensive way, but is so straightforward. Any comments, any feedback on what I covered with you?
Okay. There's the part where you said that pay attention to how I write emails, and I do notice that when I write emails, I tend to take longer to hit send because I keep going back, changing words to make it more precise. So, do you know how do I make it more precise when I write things?
Excellent. So you write, the way I do it is I write the email once, then I read it out loud as if I am talking. And if there is extra words or something I can say better, easier, or more precisely, I eliminate the extra words and I make it succinct. So in case of 2 paragraphs, I can see if I can make it just 1 paragraph. But when I read it out loud, I not only see the flow of it, I try to assume the position of the listener, whoever is going to read it. And I want to make sure I don't come across too aggressive or too offensive or too demanding. I want it to be straightforward, straight to the point, and concise. And the best way is to read it out loud. And if you keep rereading it, you'll keep adjusting it. So just read it out loud once, adjust it, and then send it. And what if you are actually really mad? Somebody sent you something or left you a message, you're mad, and you compose an email telling them, you know what, I don't appreciate this, and you can go to hell and whatever. Write the email with all your feelings out, and then save it. And then save it. Put it in draft. And go do something else, do whatever, and then come back and open it, and then read it out loud, and see if this is the most effective email you want. Because we communicate sometimes in one of 2 ways. We exchange information or we play with emotions. And you don't want to trigger emotions unless it's a strategy you're doing in negotiating, let's say. Usually the best way is to communicate information. So pull that draft email and read it, and you're going to see that you are really yelling at them, and then start adjusting it by being more factual. If you send an email and you're upset about facts and figures, it will be very hard for them to debate that with you. If you just tell them, I feel offended because you said this and this is the way I took it and all this is all opinions, they're going to say, no, you misunderstood me. But if it's facts and figures and you say something like, you were supposed to meet me at 3 p.m., at 4 p.m. you didn't show up, when I left you a message, you left me back, this is very factual and it's very specific, but then you leave it with a positive note, like, I'm sure this is something we can correct and we can discuss later. Your email in the beginning gets all your emotions out. Your second email is more about no emotions, no triggering their emotions back. It's more logical, it's more intellectual, it's more reasonable, and you'll get a much better response instead of a reaction, if that helps you at all. Cool? Good. Your third question was, what books or programs you think can help me with leadership skills and negotiation skills? What books should I read based on the area that I am lacking right now, or any program courses you recommend? Well, let me first tell you leadership, okay? Leadership is all about self-discipline again and control. It starts with you, just like I started telling you about in the beginning when we talked about self-discovery, etc. The more you know yourself, like Socrates said, know thyself. The more you know yourself, the better off you're going to be as a leader. Because if you know yourself and you are ethical and you know how to behave and communicate with others to build positive relationships, and you know how to set up goals for yourself and commit to achieving them, you know how to stay disciplined, eating the right food, sleeping well, exercising, and being in good, positive mood, and learning how to constantly study, watch people, observe them to see what triggers their reactions in certain ways, what motivates them. All this is going to help you a great deal in leading others, because leading others has to do with 4 things. You're going to lead others. As a leader, you have to do a few things. Number 1 level is clarify and assign. If you're going to lead people somewhere, you need to clarify and assign to them. So let's say you have 5 people under you. You need to clarify their responsibilities and assign the duties to them. So, hey, Joe, you're going to do this. You're responsible for that. Susie, you're responsible for this. This is what I want you to do. And Joanna, this is what you're responsible for, what I want you to do. And Frederick, this is what you're responsible for, it's what I want you to do. So once you clarify and assign, the next level of leadership is you need to motivate and enforce. How do you motivate people? People are motivated in different ways. Some are motivated by getting a title, some motivated by having extra time off, some by having reward of money, bonuses, some by getting more recognition. So once you know your people and you communicate with them, you'll be able to motivate them and enforce the results. people, once they produce results, their morale goes way through the roof. A lot of people think, oh, I got to improve morale so I can get results. Not really. Push for results, clarify, assign, then motivate them to get the job done and enforce for them to get it done. Once they get it done, their morale goes through the roof. You talk to a salesperson after they make a sale, they're so excited they want to make more phone calls. They want to go sell more widgets, whatever they're doing. So then, if you clarify and assign, which is level 1, and motivate and enforce, which is level 2, the third level is you must follow up and correct. So there is always the follow-up. The money is in the follow-up. The results are in the follow-up. And when you follow up, you're going to have the opportunity to correct some things. And once you correct, the fourth level, you adjust, because when you make corrections, things can get unbalanced. Somebody can get upset. Maybe the area is not functioning as well. Maybe things are not connected. You need to make these adjustments and improve. So the 4 levels, I'll repeat them. Level 1, clarify and assign. Level 2 of leadership is motivate and enforce. Level 3, follow up and correct. And level 4 is adjust and improve. And that's how you will constantly, people will admire the results, will like working with you, will love it, because it's going to take them to the next level. Because leadership starts with you setting the good example and leading others to get the job done. The formula I use, because I have to manage a lot of people from a distance, I use a formula called the FACTS system. If you're writing down, put the acronym FACTS, FACTS. It starts like this. I want the job to get done in a friendly, that's the F, in a friendly way. A is for accurate way. I want it accurate. Okay, I don't want somebody to wing it. I want it accurate. I want they tell me this is the number, this is what we did. I want it, the C is for complete, from A to Z. I don't want anything left out. I don't want anything omitted. Complete. And the T is a timely manner. I want it done usually fast. It's so important. Speed and execution is so fast. It's so important. S is for strategic, which is strategic way is to do it in an ethical, safe, and profitable way. So when I say to somebody, I want you to get the job done using the FACTS system, anybody working with me or for me, they know exactly that I need them to get it done in a friendly, accurate, complete, timely, and strategic way, meaning strategic as in, ethical, safe, and profitable. And people know it, so it creates an atmosphere of positive energy because everybody tries to be friendly with each other. They're open, they're respectful, and they this way they appreciate one another, and the communication flows better. The mood, the entire mood of the organization is better. Because as a leader, you don't just plan and execute. What connects planning and execution is setting the climate for positive results. And how do you do that? By saying, here's the culture of this company. We are friendly, we are accurate, we work in a complete manner, we work in a timely fashion, and we are safe the way we do certain things, we are ethical, and we have to be profitable. And people get it, and they communicate that way with their own team under them, etc. So that's the leadership, in my opinion, and I've ran hotels, I run my syndications, I run my commercial buildings, and my events, my education events, all through the same formulas that I've created through the years. Now, let's talk about negotiation skills for a moment. Negotiation really is nothing more than communication skills. If you communicate well, you're gonna actually negotiate very well. So I will give you the 5 steps, if you will. Number 1, know what you want. And know when and how to present it wisely. Okay? So if you know what you want and you're meeting with somebody regarding an opportunity for business or a transaction or something, if you know what you want as an end goal and you know when and how to present it, your chances to get it accepted are a lot higher. So you don't want to present it right away. You want when there is a window of opportunity after you build rapport with somebody. Number 2, know and be aware and stay alert to what they want and how they present that to you. You see my point? Because they also have a goal. How are they presenting it? When are they presenting it? Why do they want it? You see? And so that's number two. So number one is you know what you want. Number two, know what they want and be alert to how they present it. And number three, find a reasonable compromise between what you are willing to give up from your side and what you will get for that in return based on what you are not willing to compromise or give up. Okay, so I'll repeat this one. You're willing to compromise on some things, but some things you're not willing to compromise at all. If you find that balance between what you're willing to give up and what you're not going to give up on, you're going to succeed in the communication skills and negotiation skills, because that's a no negotiation point. I will not do this. Like I was watching a movie about the hostages, and the guy said, we're going to let go of this, but if you don't do this, we're going to kill somebody. And the guy negotiating, the negotiator said, listen, there is no way I'm going to compromise with you and let you kill somebody. So that was like, there is no way, this is not going to be, there's no compromise here. But I'm willing to get you the helicopter, bring you the money, you see my point? There are always some things you're willing to compromise on, and you should know that in advance, and what you will not compromise on. That's number three. Number four, so long as you're reasonable and engaging, the dialogue will continue. So you just have to be in such control of your emotions and work with them. Show them that you're listening to them. You can echo what they say. So they say, listen, I worked hard for this, and you're negotiating. Repeat what they said. Yes, you worked hard for this. Once you agree with their reality, the tension relaxes. Now, the concept of tension, and I call it pressure, can work to your advantage, because you can be very reasonable in your voice intonation, very engaging in your body language, but you're not letting go of some things, which is creating pressure for them. So the final step is you just let time and the pressure and release. Like you create some pressure and then you create a comment or a gesture that releases the tension. The time, pressure, and release work their magic in draining the living life out of the people negotiating with you unreasonably. You see, eventually they will then give in and you'll reach an agreement despite the fact that you are unable to compromise on some issues. So I'll recap it for you and you see how it flows. The 5 steps are in negotiation, which are based on communication skills. Know in advance what you want and know when and how to present it to the other side in a way that it will be accepted. Number 2, know and be aware of what they want and stay alert to how they present it for you to accept it. That's number 2. Number 3, find a reasonable compromise between what you're going to give them and what you're not willing to give them. And number 4, be reasonable and engaging and connect with them so you can then, in step 5, create some pressure without them freaking out on you. And then when you release, like offer the final compromise, they can come full circle and agree on something with you. You will find these steps when you observe any successful negotiation that reaches a certain compromise between the parties, that they at the end have used these, whether they were aware of it or unaware of it. Even hostages and bank kidnappings and all these things, at the end, if people get to connect, they will correct the behavior and they will make it using what they want, what the other party wants, what's reasonable, what can we give you, what we cannot give you, and keep that relationship, create some pressure, then a release with a final answer and compromise, and then everybody connects and it works. Now, are there books about this? Yes, but the books are so theoretical about it. It's nothing like when you practice. You see, I can train you on doing, gymnastics all day, but unless you go and start doing gymnastics, you're not going to get the results. And communication is the same. And if you think of communication as negotiation as communication, because you're constantly in communication, either trying to sell somebody on an idea or have a discussion to learn something from somebody, there is a constant exchange of thoughts or triggers of emotions. And if you weed out the emotions and you stay intellectual, you will notice so much more about how you react and how you can get a reaction or a response from other. Reaction is something that is triggered, a bit more emotional. A response is something more intellectual, more conversation-like, and builds more rapport. You're with me on all this? You know, you got me on my favorite subject, which is communication, because that all business and everything is communication. It's what creates fluidity in life. And by the way, you asked how can you improve it. I do a training, it's called in Cancun, I do that training once a year. I call it Leadership Development and Business Expansion. And it's actually 6 things. We start with how to communicate, then how to set goals and achieve them. There is a very specific way to do that. How to manage people from assigning work to enforcing results. And number 4, how to grow your business based on its potential, the obstacles you face, and we brainstorm solutions. And then number 5, we develop an action plan that an individual will take. And number 6, we do a follow-up that they agree on and hold them accountable. Usually we get results 90 days after the training. So it's like 1, how to communicate, 2, how to set goals, 3, how to manage the people, that, you know, to assign the work and enforce it. Number 4, how to grow the business based on its potential, the obstacles you face. Number 5, the action plan. And number 6, how we're going to follow up to hold them accountable so they can bring the results. We've done very well with it. Even people came up with the challenges that I remember this lady came in one of the events and she said, my challenge is not in business, but in my personal life, I cannot meet the right person. I am successful, so it intimidates others and this. And we worked with her on what her potential in life is, the obstacles she's having, and we brainstormed solutions, and the action plan was to meet people. And believe it or not, less than 90 days later, she was engaged. We saw her a year later, she came in with her baby. She already had a baby. So it was one of my favorite success stories. But anyway, if you're interested, we can follow up with you later when we do the event. It was actually canceled this year because of the COVID thing. I wanted to do it this actually in March, but it's all right. We'll do another one. And if you watch anything I do or how I present publicly, etc., hopefully it will help you with your communication. Any questions on what I covered so far?
No, it's not good.
Okay, all right. So number 4, you said, I work in a corporate and constantly hiring people. I have intervened a lot of people, but I interviewed or intervened?
Oh, sorry, interviewed.
Okay. I thought like you intervened like in people not getting along. Okay. I interviewed. Okay, no problem. That was interviewed a lot of people, but I don't know who's good and who's not. How can I improve on this aspect of people's skills? How can I read people and know when they're lying? Well, I'm going to tell you what the FBI does when they interview people, or CIA when they interview terrorists, etc. It's a pretty fascinating, but yet very simple thing. They actually start by talking to somebody. So you're going to interview somebody. Start by asking them questions that they're very comfortable responding to, such as, so what's your full name? Where do you live? How long have you lived there? Where did you go to school? So these type of questions, they don't have to search how to impress you or anything. They're actually just telling you the truth. I was born in Michigan. I moved to Oklahoma. Then we settled in Florida. Yes, I'm here now, or I'm in Dallas. You see, then this becomes what you call the base communication level, the baseline of communication. You know how they react to certain things in an easy way. And then you can start asking difficult questions. And the difficult questions in interviews are things like, tell me the tasks you did not like in your last job. If I ask somebody to critique you right now, what would they say about you in your last job? Tell me about a conflict that you had with your boss and how you handled it. You see, then you could see, are they as comfortable as they were when they were talking about themselves in the beginning about simple stuff? Or are they just trying to pull from the air some BS stories and lying? And it's very, very hard to tell in job interviews because people know they're being interviewed, they're being judged, so they are trying to impress you more than express themselves. But really the idea is to see their body language, their reaction. If you ask somebody, tell me about your previous boss, and they start moving their leg uncomfortably, that's a reaction that you notice. Then if you tell them, tell me about how you handled your college when you did this, and they move their leg the same way, you know that they move their leg when they're not comfortable about a specific moment or something in their past. So you start really, if you zoom in on people and totally focus, you will see so much. And the best way to learn about liars and all this is to watch how CIA, FBI, and investigators interview people for crimes or try to get information, because sooner or later the person ends up telling you the truth. And you can ask the same question in so many different ways, and then you can see if they're congruent and consistent or if they're lying. And that works for me very well when I actually work with people and I can ask them questions. How was your schedule? And the person, their head goes to the right and they say, oh, it worked, but I was uncomfortable. They made me work every weekend. Then later I can say, would you accept $50,000 a year as a salary? Would that work for you? If they move their head the same way, oh yes, I can make it happen with 50. I can tell they're uncomfortable because they have the same body language, head reaction when they were talking about the schedule they didn't like with their last employer as they are now with the salary. You see my point? So all this, you're trying to see how congruent between what they think, how they feel, what they say, and what they do. Mm-hmm. Your next question was, what's your thoughts on Scientology? Well, every religion has some great things and some brainwashing stuff for people to follow them without questioning things. Now, I try not to judge religions as much as kind of observe and admire the way they make people follow them, etc. I am Catholic. I have friends who are Buddhists, who are Muslims, who are Jewish, who are Hindu, and we've done great business together. I have investors from all different backgrounds. Specifically Scientology, there is, like with every religion, a lot of things I like, especially like some great principles, and some things I don't like and I don't want to follow, and I understand what they're doing with that type of religion. Scientology, what I like the most is I like the part that has to do with how someone has a past that affects them in the present. And that work is based on Sigmund Freud, who actually said, because I read the books of Sigmund Freud many years ago, and Sigmund Freud said, I cannot tell why when I ask somebody to close their eyes and remember an event in the past that bothered them, when I have them open their eyes and come back to present time, they feel so much better. I just cannot find out why, and I need to do some more research. I'm paraphrasing from Sigmund Freud's book. And the book was about the dynamics, how the dynamics change when you talk to an individual by himself or herself versus when you talk to a group, and how the group takes a whole different life and level of communication. So Sigmund Freud started by saying people, when they recollect the past, they improve in the present. Well, in the Scientology, the best work they have, and I don't know all their work, but what impressed me the most, many years ago, I read a lot about how you can get somebody to recollect a past that bothered them so much that didn't even want to confront it. Maybe they even fainted when the situation happened, or they blew up, or they were so offended they shoved it in their subconscious. All of a sudden, you make them go to a specific time, you make them go mentally there through a reverie state where they close their eyes and remember it, and then the more they repeat it, the less effect it has on them. And when similar events happen in the present, they don't react, they can respond better. They don't become defensive, they become more intuitive and more creative, and they are just not so affected by the past. So for that, I was fascinated specifically. On the rest of the stuff, there is a lot I don't like. I mean, they believe in extraterrestrial stuff and some stuff that just doesn't make too much sense. Number 6 is, you ask, what should I invest in during this market crash? Well, the answer is always my real estate fund. Look, my real estate fund has been in business for 11 years. When we started it in 2009, the market went down. 2010, 11, 12, it stabilized. 13, 14, etc. It went up. I have always paid on time 8%, which is a magic number. I mean, people stay in the stock market 30 years to average 8% and compound it. Well, guess what? With me, I am diversified. I'm diversified because I'm set up for stress tests, like what's happening now, or when the market pulls back. And when people invest as little as $25,000, the money is cross-collateralized against all the assets we have. So there is a huge safety factor. There is cash flow 8% per year that gets paid out or gets reinvested, whatever the investors want to do. The money compounds. If they get it reinvested, you compound it for 20 years. Your average yearly rate of return will be over 18% if you reinvest the money. I've had many people reinvest the money, and in the past 11 years, I mean, they more than doubled so far, and it's going to then quadruple, if you will, in the next few years. There is liquidity with private real estate funds. Sometimes you get stuck for 5 years or 7 years. With mine, you can cash out with a 12 months notice. I always have reserves. I can take accredited, that means high net worth people, and non-accredited, that means people that are without high net worth, not $1 million net worth. I can take what's called sophisticated investors. So that's, of course, I'm biased. I can tell you I set it up for my investors, for my family, for my students, and that's a great way to invest. If you think you're going to invest because the market crashed and you're going to go into the stock market and all this, that's fine. Just have a long-term outlook, because nobody knows what's going to happen in the next 90 days or 6 months. But I can tell you in the next 10, 20 years, maybe 30 years, the market is going to go up, because the American economy is phenomenal and nobody bets against U.S. economy. It just takes a while to average it out for you to come out ahead. You're with me on this? Good. So you had also asked, what are your thoughts on this advice my family been telling me? I should follow the money first. Once I'm financially stable, I can chase my passion. Well, you know, there are 3 levels to making money, V. There are 3 levels. Number 1, you work for the money. So you're working in a company, you're working, you're getting paid, and you're making them money, right? So you work for the money. Level 2, now you've got some money, so you work the money. You buy and sell things, you're growing the money, right? You work the money. Number 3, the money works for you. So you work for the money, you work the money, and then the money works for you. Now, if you focus and follow the money in a certain career, let's say like I started in hospitality, I was in the hotel business, and you make the money you hope to make, and you move up and you start making more money, most likely you'll become passionate about that, and you will get even better with what you're doing, so you can now afford to do side gig that excites you more. But I can give you an example. I interviewed this lady one time to be an accountant, part-time accountant for my syndication. It was in San Francisco. And she was in her late 40s, and I looked at her application, and every job she had was 1 to 2 years. So I asked her, I said, hey, what is going on here? Why do you keep moving around? You were in accounting, then you started CPA, you worked for a CPA firm, then you went for a law firm, then you went to do a bicycle shop to put parts together. I said, I don't understand what you're doing. And she said, I was trying to find my passion. And I said, oh my God, I mean, all your life? She said, yes, I can't figure it out. And I asked her, if you had to do your life over again, what would you do differently? And she said, Cherif, I would have stuck with one job, build a career, I would have had the money, and now would have been able to afford to do something on the side and discover my passion. But I had to make the money first, which I didn't realize. So my answer to you is, you can do both. I mean, passion is an intense emotion, like a compelling enthusiasm or desire to do something, right? And if you're gonna go make money with something, and you start making money with it and you get good at it, most likely, you're gonna start becoming passionate about it. Not everybody likes real estate in the beginning. It's a lot of negotiation, it's a lot of doubt, you're constantly trying to get loans, build credit, it's never enough, and all this. But as you get good with it and get results, you get better. It becomes a game. And you become more creative with it, and that's when you realize you shouldn't take it too seriously and you can enjoy the game. that, of course, I'm passionate about real estate, but I'm telling you, in the beginning, it was hard. It was very stressful. Once I realized it's a game and I shouldn't worry too much, my game improved, my results improved, and I became more passionate about it. Then I decided to teach others so I can relay my passion and my experiences and make their life a bit easier. You got that? Good, good. Any comments on that?
No, didn't make sense. Yeah.
Okay. And your 8th question was, is it true that there is no such thing as loan or funding with no personal guarantee? Yes, it's true. There are no personal guarantee loans, and they're called non-recourse loans, but then you will have to put a large down payment. And while the bank will not go after you personally if something goes wrong because there is no personal guarantee, when something goes wrong, they will actually take the asset. So you will be wiped out. So here is what happens. If you want a no personal guarantee loan, let's say on $1 million, they're going to ask you to put 30% down payment, $300,000 down payment. And they're going to say, we'll give you $700,000 loan with no personal guarantee. That means if something goes wrong, we'll just take the asset. Well, you lost $300,000 down payment. So can you get it? Yes, you can get no personal guarantees. Of course, now that the market has changed and there is always changes in the market, the banks may be asking for 40% down payment. Maybe they will say there is, for you haven't done this type of loan, we need your personal guarantee anyway. The second one will give you the no personal guarantee. But it does exist. It just requires a few different criteria. You got that?
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. You asked me number 9, before I join any program, what are the things I should look for so that I won't get scammed? Okay, there are actually specifically 6 things you need to look at. As a guy who has been teaching for 21 years and sold programs and delivered programs nationwide, even internationally I've done a few, there is a formula that I use. For you, for instance, the way to join a program without getting scammed is, number 1, ask yourself, is the program taught by the guru himself or herself, or is it taught by somebody else? Okay, I teach all my own programs. Give me 1 second. 1 second. 1 second, I'm sorry. Who is this number? 4006.
Oh my God.
Let me stop.
No, it's not my God.
Okay, so somebody keeps calling and I'm just handling that. All right. So ask yourself, number 1, is the program being taught by the guru or someone else? Number 2, will you interact with the guru or some support line when the program is finished? You see my point? Number 3, do they have video success stories? Not just like some letter, oh, this person took the class, her name is Victoria B, and you don't have even the last name. Or is it an actual video success story on what people learned and how they felt about the training? Because that's the most important part. If people at the end of the training say, I learned a lot, this is very applicable, I can get results with this, that's phenomenal. You're with me on this? And number 4, will the process and system work in different markets at different times? Or is it actually not working at all times in all markets? You see my point? So in other words, is it evergreen? Because some people teach something that says, this is for the market right now. Well, no. I want to learn something I can apply in any market at different times. And then number 5, is your success aligned with the success of the guru, or is there a conflict of interest? You see, sometimes the guru says, I'm going to teach you how to do this and you can do it on your own and we'll give you support. No. I want something that when I do with the person who is teaching me, we both benefit. So they have their interest and my interests aligned, so they're going to work with me. I mean, imagine if your university professors could be reachable for many years afterwards, and you can email them or contact them and get them to support you and direct you, and they can benefit from your success. How involved will they be? That's phenomenal. And then the last point is, you need to ask yourself, am I willing and able to pay the price in spending the time, the focus, the commitment, the effort to follow through. Because if you're not, and everybody's saying this is a great training, and you see all the videos and the guru saying, come with me, you're going to do this, you're going to assign it to me, I'm going to put the money right here, and we're going to do it together. But you're not going to spend the time or effort. Save your money. Don't do it. So I'll repeat the 6 bullet points. Ask yourself, is the program taught by the guru or someone else? Number 2, will I interact with the guru or some other support line when I'm done? Number 3, do they have success stories by video where I can see similar people have taken that program they're talking about and enjoyed the training and said that they could get it done? Because the rest, whether they got it done or not, is depending on the individual. I know I'm going to commit the time. So, number 4, will the process or system they're teaching work in different market, like different locations at different times? Beautiful. Number 5, is the success story aligned with my success be aligned with the success of the guru that's going to teach me? Because if the success is aligned, that means I have to find specific properties for them to do this, or I have to use their proof of fund to do that, and they want it because they need to deploy the capital. Oh, okay, then our success is aligned. Then I'm not going to get scammed because they're the ones teaching. They're putting their time, their effort, their money on the line. They want me to succeed with them. And the final point is self-reflection. Will I really commit the time and effort to do this, or I'm going to go spend the time or the money and then I'm not going to follow up? Because life gets in the way. So unless you're going to schedule time to apply what you learned, really nothing much is going to happen. And this is the formula, by the way, I used for me. I teach my own live trainings. Unlike any other guru, I am the one who goes out to teach. I'm the one who does the advanced trainings. That's why I don't do that many live trainings and I don't do that many advanced trainings. I'm the one here. I am on the phone with you. I didn't assign it to anybody. I have many qualified people that have been with my trainings, etc. I take the calls. I want to interact with people. I enjoy that. And I make sure my interest, my success is aligned with the success of the students. Actually, their success is my success. So I just make sure that they're willing and able to spend the time and effort. So, cool.
What was number 3 again?
Number 3 was, are there any video success stories on what people learned and how they felt about the training? I want to hear it not now from the person trying to present to me, hey, come to my training, I'll do this and that. I want to hear it from the people who took that training. And people can come up and say, we just spent a full day, or we just spent 3 days doing this, and we learned this, and now I feel this way, and I can do that, and I can get it done. Okay, I like that. I want to hear who took the training. These success stories and these endorsements are very important. For example, I have over 2,000 video success stories. They're videos. You see, it's not some anonymous, like I've been to a presentation and they wanted to set up like some trust accounts and the lawyers were saying, yeah, I can do this and we've done the training, come to the training, it's $5,000, it's unbelievable. And I asked them, do you have any success stories from people who actually were able to set up the trust account, like you're saying, after that 3-day training? And he's showing me a letter with somebody's name, Victoria.B. What is that? It's a letter. He could have wrote it at home. I'm not saying he did, but how much more powerful if this Victoria person would have actually gone on a video and said, I just finished the training and this is what I got from the training and this is how I feel about it. And you can right away tell if they're happy or excited. And if it's not just one video, I want a bunch of videos of how they felt about that training. You see? Because, and even more powerful when you see more videos of people saying, I made money doing this. But you can, like I always tell people, I can bring you 100 videos of people, of which I have them online, people saying I made money, changed my net worth, etc. But does this mean that you are willing and able to spend the time and effort to do the same thing? Because these people did. You see my point? Good. All right. And number 10, which was your last question there, you said, should I lease or buy a car? And how about a house? Well, in my suggestion, my opinion, you should lease a car because the payments are usually, if it's related to business, the full payment is tax deductible. Not just the interest portion, but the full payment is tax deductible. And in case of an accident, the insurance pays off the entire debt. If you own the car and there is a, God forbid, a car accident, the insurance will negotiate the value of the car, and they're going to depreciate from this and that and pay you so much. They don't care how much you owe, it's your problem. But when it's leased, God forbid something bad happens, the insurance literally pays off the lease, just gets you out of it, which is great. And at the end of the lease, you can make a decision. You turn it and go get a new car, or you just get rid of it. It's just a certain payment, and a lease works out usually much better, especially if you can negotiate something that makes financial sense. A lot of leases, my nephew had gotten a car in Infinity, literally brand new, with less than $200, and all the rest was monthly payments. So it was amazing. And he kept it for 3 years, and that's it. When he returned it and walked away, zero problems, brand new car, and he was going to college, so it was very good. So regarding a house, my suggestion is you may want to start with like a duplex. So you live one side, rent the other side. You can do that with a triplex or a fourplex. You live in one, rent the other units, whatever you can afford. Usually, because you're gonna be using it as a personal residence, you can put a lower down payment. You may even get away with just a 10% down payment. In some programs, you can put as little as 5% down payment. The key thing is, once you put that little down payment, you're able to get a good long-term loan with low interest rate. And the rental from next door helps you pay down the debt. It's a very powerful way to start. And eventually when you want to move, you can move out, rent that second unit, and then go get your own house as your life expands. If you don't like a duplex, you can get what's called the mixed-use building, where downstairs is commercial and upstairs is residential. So I have plenty of buildings like this. And what happens is the commercial downstairs is a longer term lease, so there is stability. And you go get the loan saying, yes, there is commercial and it's mixed use, but I'm gonna live upstairs. So usually they give you a more favorable loan because you're actually gonna rent upstairs, live upstairs as a owner user. So if you can't afford to buy a duplex or a mixed use building, my suggestion is to start by leasing with an option to buy. That's another great way to get in. So you can do a master lease. You can tell an owner of the duplex, look, I'm gonna do a master lease. I'm gonna pay you so much. I'll collect the rent from next door and I will pay you. This way you can improve next door, you can increase the rent, you can do whatever changes you want. And you have an option to buy. If you don't wanna do a master lease, you can just do a lease just for your unit with an option to buy the property and negotiate the price and lock it in now. You see, now this is a good time to do that because the market, supposedly some people are afraid and maybe they can't make up the payments and whatever. So you can tell them, hey, listen, I know you're behind on payments. I will bring your payments current, but I want, and I will make the payments monthly, but I want an option to buy the building for X price. And I want that option for, let's say, 5 years. Try to negotiate 5, usually you'll get 3. But let's say you can do 5. And you want to say that portion of your payment will go toward the purchase price. So let's say your payment is, I don't know, let's say $2,000 a month. You're going to tell them, if I exercise my option to purchase within the next 5 years, I want 50% of my payment to go toward the purchase price. So let's say you got the deal for 5 years, so 60 months. You actually, on the 60th month, if 1,000 of your 2,000 payment goes toward the purchase, you just put 60,000 down payment. And the property that was worth, I don't know, 300,000 is now worth maybe 400,000. So you have 160,000 of equity. You see my point? And you're able to get a loan for the difference and cash them out. So a lease with an option to buy is a great way, especially when you're expecting the market to go up. And if the market doesn't increase, you can walk away at any time you had to rent anyway. And if you run your own business from home, your lease payments could be deductible. You see my point? So I want to go back to if you actually got the loan and purchased the property, locked in a low interest, put a small down payment and got a loan. Get the loan for as long as possible. Some people say, should I get 15 years? Get 30. Get it fixed. The interest rate is so low right now. And in the early stages, pay down your loan so you can eliminate the PMI, the payment mortgage insurance that you have to buy. You can actually you can eliminate it by paying down the debt, so you have more equity. And then you can just take the difference of money and invest it somewhere to compound your results. Or you can invest it in my fund, MIXIF fund or SFI fund. And then you can eventually compound that, and 10 years later just pay off your home, and you have a home free and clear. And then get a credit line against the home to hunt for good deals to flip them, you know? So I answered. Go ahead. You have a question.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah. So you said that duplex and stuff, like, would it, do you think it would still work if it's like a mansion and it has like 5 bedrooms and I live in one room and I rent out the rest?
Oh yes, you can do that if you're willing to sacrifice your comfort to share the same space with others. I think you'd be much better off having a 4-plex if you can. But it all depends on where you're going to buy the property and what is the expected outcome of appreciation down the road, the stability of the income, etc. I mean, if you get, let's say, a triplex, so 3 units, up to 4-plex, you get a residential loan, so you can lock in the interest for 30 years. And what happens, maybe the area is nice and you can do a couple units as Airbnb and 1 unit as long-term rental. You see my point? Maybe you can eventually separate the units into separate condos, each one with a separate deed. It's called the segregation. And then you can sell them as individual condo units, townhouses. Sell 2 and pay off the other 2 downstairs, and then you can live on one side free and clear and have income from the other side, taking care of your basic expenses. My first deal, by the way, was a duplex that I split. I bought it for $300,000. This is 1989, and I split it, and I sold each side. I netted $225,000. So I had an extra $150,000 in profit in less than 4 months. So it was just a very, very good deal in Solana Beach, California. You know.
Okay. What did you say about I think you said your nephew having an affinity, and like what was the outcome of him leasing that car?
I'm sorry, repeat the question. It's coming muffled a little bit. Repeat the question.
Oh, yeah. So, what did you say about, I think, with your nephew, that leases the Infinity, and what was the advantage of him leasing the car?
Because actually leasing the car, if in case of an accident, the insurance will pay off the actual debt immediately, and he will just go get another one. Number one. Number two, with the lease program, sometimes you have to put very little down payment. He put literally $200 on a payment that was $350 per month, and so the advance was just $200, and his payment $350. He could afford it, and 36 months later, he went and returned the car, and just moved on to get another car that he can actually upgrade. So it was just perfect, and for 3 years, he had no issues whatsoever with the car. And some cars even come in with some maintenance included, and it's still under warranty. So you have such a great way to start. If you own the car, if you purchase the car, and God forbid there is an accident, the insurance will negotiate with you how much they will pay you because of depreciation each year, etc., etc. So it makes it a lot harder to work that out. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm coming back to the last question. So the last question, I know that you said that you prefer like duplex and stuff. I want to know if it's true that a mansion that is so big, their depreciating value is much different than other regular homes because it is so big. It is considered like a commercial. Is that true?
No, it's untrue. It's if it's zoned as residential and it's used as residential, it is still depreciated as residential. If you're going to use it for rentals and all this, you're going to have to take a portion of the square footage that's being used for rentals and all this, and you will depreciate it over 27 and a half years. You know, and it's not commercial. It's commercial residential, if you will. It's commercial use, but it's residential use. Like if you take an apartment building, you depreciate it over 27 and a half years. If you take some other type, like office buildings, etc., you depreciate it over a longer period of time. You're really, in the beginning, you're better off with the multi-units, like four units, 3 units, two units, just to get started.
Got it. Okay, makes sense.
Yes.
All right, yes.
Because of the income.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. That's all the questions I have.
You're very welcome. And if you need anything, you know where to reach us. It was a pleasure talking to you.